What's good, everybody? We're back with another movie review. Today, I want to talk about Inside. Inside is a 2007 French horror film. Don't get it confused with Johnny Sin's Inside. We'll cover that at another time. Now, this film revolves around a pregnant woman and a home invasion, which reminds me of the time I made breakfast in bed. I brought breakfast to this girl in bed, and instead of being like, "Thank you," being grateful, this bitch was like, "Who are you? Like, I'm gonna call the cops. Get out of my house." I'm never doing that again. But I love this movie. It's up there for me, and as favorites go, I covered Martyrs a while back. French people just know how to make good movies. Like I myself am mixed with some French on my mom's side, so then that's my people's. And the movie is about like an hour and 20 minutes long, which is like the perfect length. That's what he said. But yeah, let's get into the movie. I hope you guys enjoy the review. I hope you guys check out the film, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into this bitch. So the movie opens up with like a POV of like a fetus inside a womb, and a voice is saying, "My child, my baby, finally inside me. No one will take him away from me. No one can hurt him now." And right after that, you hear bow, like a car crash happens, and the baby like juts forward inside the womb, dying. Like I hate to say it, but that's just how the movie opens up, and we see the result of the car crash. The camera pans into a car, and it's a couple, and the dude in the car is slumped. He's dead. He's like this, and the woman that's in the, I think, the driver's seat, of course, woman driver getting to a uh she kind of like comes to, and she's checking on him like, "Matthew," and he's gone, and she looks down, and she got a pregnant belly. So then the camera goes to black, and the next scene opens up. We see the same woman. Her name is Sarah. Now she's at the OBGYN getting an ultrasound, and like her face is all scarred up from the crash. She's supposed to deliver tomorrow, the next day, like on Christmas. The doctor says everything's okay. You got a ride. She's like, "I got a ride." So then she leaves the doctor's office and she goes into the waiting room. And this part was hella funny. She goes and sits down, and this old ass nurse sits by her. She sits next to her, and she pulls out a cigarette and she starts smoking, right? And this shit was cracking me up because she didn't give a fuck about a pregnant woman being right next to her. But she also didn't get up and leave because she was smoking. So then another nurse comes out and she's like, "Hey, you can't smoke in here, right?" And I'm like, damn, just let her enjoy herself. She got a cigarette, she's on break, like let her chill. So then she's talking about how giving birth was painful and she lost babies, and it's shit sucks. And then Sarah calls her a twat, which was uncalled for. She's walking out of the hospital with this woman who's presumed to be her mom, and her mom's like, "You got a ride?" And she's like, "Yeah, Jean Pierre is gonna bring me to the hospital." And then she's like, "That should be me taking you to the hospital, but I can't wait to meet him." So my question is, after this horrific car crash, you lost your husband, you already moved on, and this is her boss, no less. Like this bitch moves hella fast. Like I guess so. Then she ends up at a park, and she's like taking pictures of these peoples, and this old guy sits next to him, and he's an old fart. So this is Jean Pierre. This is her love interest, her boss, whatever the hell. This shit is disgusting. And he's saying like, "You shouldn't be alone." And then they're walking off, and then the movie cuts out, and then it fades to another scene, and we see Sarah at home, and she goes into her infrared room to like develop pictures. And then she stops and looks at this little collage of her and her husband. So like, "Oh, now you miss him. You was just at the park with Jean Pierre, got a new boo, and now you want to miss your husband." And then like arms come from around her, and it's him. Like it's a very touching moment. I shed a little tear. And then she's in the living room, and you see her cat in the kitchen fucking around with the stove, just doing cat like shit. And then out of nowhere, she starts throwing up milk, and she falls to the ground, and she's throwing up milk, and then she's throwing up blood, and then she rolls over, and then a baby shoots out of her mouth, and it was just a little dream sequence, and she wakes up. And so then there is the doorbell rings, and there's a figure outside the people that she's looking through, and you see the back of the lady's head, and she's like, "Please, this is urgent. I need your phone. My car broke down." And Sarah's like, "My husband's asleep. You can't come in. You'll make too much noise." And she's like, "No, I promise. I just need to use your phone." And then Sarah's like, "I told you, like, my husband's asleep." And this bitch says, "No, he's not, Sarah. Your husband is dead. Dunzo." Like, that shit, when I first seen that scene and she said that shit, I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? That shit sent chills down my ass. And so Sarah's like, I'm about to call the cops. You need to leave. And she looks through the people again and she's gone. She disappeared. And so then Sarah's walking around her house, like turning the lights off, and she looks at like the back door, and it's like a glass door, and this bitch is there. She's standing right there. And so what Sarah's doing is she grabs her camera and she's taking pictures of her so she could see her with the flash. And then she fucking punches the window, the glass door, and it shatters. So like you really can't see her face because like where she punched, it's like right in front of her face, the cracks on the door. So then some time goes by and Sarah's on the couch sleeping, and her cat is crawling on her and wakes her up. What you don't fucking notice is there's like a black figure. It kind of looks like it's like just like the darkness, like the hallway, but it's the woman. It's the I'm gonna call her CB, crazy bitch. She is inside the house. She's inside the house, and she like moonwalks backwards like Michael Jackson into the darkness, into the hallway, and you can't see her. And then she puts her head down, and then she moonwalks forward. And I gotta give this movie so much credit and praise for the ambiance and atmosphere. The movie, it has like a little orange brownish tint to it. It's very somber, like the soundtrack. That shit scared the shit out of me. Like I said, it sent chills down my ass. I didn't notice it at first, but that shit left me lightweight breathless. Anyway, so then she calls Jean-Pierre, like, I need you to enhance these pictures, and it's the pictures of the woman so she could see clearer. So then Sarah goes upstairs and she falls asleep. So CB is inside the house and she's smelling these baby clothes because I guess she's she I guess she misses what could have been, her baby died. So she's smelling the baby clothes, and then she goes into Sarah's room. Sarah is fast asleep, and this bitch pulls out Edward Scissorhands scissors, like these long ass shears. I just hit my microphone. And she cuts into Sarah's stomach, and whenever in the movie Sarah takes damage, it's like a Mortal Kombat X-ray. You see the baby inside taking damage. So the baby's taking damage inside, and then she takes the shears and she slashes Sarah's pretty ass face. Now this chick that plays Sarah, she's hella pretty. She cuts her face, and then Sarah grabs a lamp and she bashes this CB in the head with it, and this bitch falls over, and she's like, "Oh!" And Sarah runs into the bathroom and she locks it. So then CB's in the kitchen. She's getting ice, and Jean Pierre walks in, and CB introduces herself as the mom. And Jean Pierre is like, okay, I was just coming to check on her, pick her up, whatever. And he's about to leave. So then CB's like, no, like, won't you stay? Like, stay and have a drink. And, he's thinking with his dickhead, not his head. So he's like, all right, I'll have a drink with you. So then they're sitting on the couch and they're drinking, and she goes to get him another drink. So what he does, he looks at the couch and he finds the photo that Sarah took of her, and he's like what is this? Like, Sarah called me to enhance this picture, and she's like, oh, my Sarah, she's into photography, this and that. And then Sarah's actual mom, her name is Louise. She shows up and she's at the house and she's like, who are you? And CB just kind of put her head down, and Jean Pierre, he's like, who are you? And so then Louise is like, where's Sarah? So then she runs up to go to the bathroom to check on Sarah. And Jean Pierre is like, wait, this picture is of you. So then Sarah's mom runs upstairs and she tries to open the bathroom door. Sarah opens the door thinking it's CB, and she stabs her mom with like this spike in the throat, and it comes out the other side. And she's just like bamboozled and boom-bazzled, just like, and the mom is just, blood is squirting out both holes, pause, and she's bleeding all over the place. She falls and dies, and then she closes the door. Jean-Pierre's nosy ass, he walks up the stairs, and CB stabs him behind his knee with the shears, and then he turns over on the stairs, and she stabs him in the fucking gooch. She stabs him in his ass and cuts up into his balls, and just completely wrecked this dude. Slashed his throat, slashed his face, and then he goes downstairs, and she puts a pillow over his face and stabs through the pillow, and it goes through his head. It's like to muffle his screams, and he's gone. He's out of here. Jean-Pierre is dead. So then CB tries to reach for Sarah. Sarah closes the door on her, and she stabs CB with that pick that she accidentally killed her mom with. So then she closes the door, and CB's like, oh, and so she uses the gap in her teeth to pull out the spike. Then she pulls out a cigarette and she smokes it. The French people love smoking cigarettes. Like, I don't understand it. I don't smoke cigarettes, but hey, more power to them. Then Sarah got her poor cat. She gets picked up by CB and she's playing with Sarah's pussy, and she breaks the cat's neck, bro. Like, I love animals. I love dogs. I love cats, lizards. I love animals. This was probably sadder than when she lost her baby, because the cat was innocent. The cat didn't do nothing. The cat's just being a cat, just doing cat shit, vibing. And she just breaks the cat's neck like a fucking Mortal Kombat fatality. And that part broke my fucking heart. The cat didn't deserve it. Maybe the baby did, but the cat definitely didn't deserve it. Anyway, so the next platoon of cops show up at the house, and they open the door. Mademoiselle, is everything okay? We heard there was a disturbance. They don't know that that's not Sarah. They think that's Sarah, and then she's like, "No, I'm good. That's just the washing machine upstairs. Like, everything's fine." So then they're like, "Okay, we won't bother you." So these dumbass cops walk back to the car, and they're like, "Wait a minute, she's not pregnant. I thought she was pregnant." So then they go into the house, and then they arrest her. So then one of the fucking punk ass officers runs upstairs, and CB, on some Assassin's Creed shit, pulls out a spike out of her fucking sleeve, stabs this officer in the eye, and stabs him in the face and kills him. So then the officer that went upstairs to check on Sarah opens the door, and Sarah like opens the door for him, and she looks, and he gets his fucking brain blown all over the wall. CB took the dead cop's gun and put one in his dome upstairs and just ended his shit. His brains were splattered all over the wall, all over Sarah. Dunzo. You're gone. You're done. There's no coming back from that. So then there was another punk ass cop in the car, and there was a perp in the back who's causing a disturbance. And so the cop's like, "You got to come into the house with me to investigate." And the perp's like, "No, please don't make me go in there," because they heard gunshots, like the radio shit. And so then the punk ass cop and the perp, they go up into the bathroom, and they see the carnage that was all up inside the house. Everybody's dead. So they go into the bathroom, and they're checking up on Sarah, and then CB cuts the power off. So the dumbass cop and the perp, he had put the perp on a leash so he wouldn't go nowhere. And so they go downstairs to check the circuit breaker, and so he's looking at the circuit breaker, and he looks to his right, and it looks like I don't know what it's called, but it's like a concussion rifle. It looks like a shotgun, but I guess it's not lethal. CB put it to his fucking brain, and you hear bow bow, and Sarah was upstairs, and she heard the noise, and she went into her room to lay down. So as far as the perp goes, he's like this, like hella scared, and CB pulls out the long ass scissors, stabs this fool in the head, in the forehead. He's dead. He's gone. So he's done. So then Sarah is asleep in bed. She's dying for real. And so CB goes up to her. She's on her bed, and she's like looking on her, kissing her, and like, I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of hot. And then fucking Sarah had to ruin it, and she either bit her lip off or she bit her tongue off, and she's screaming. And then Sarah runs away, and then she goes into the living room. So she goes into the kitchen, and CB grabbed her and she was dragging her into the kitchen. So then Sarah gets up, and she pulls out like another spike. I don't know where she keeps getting these spikes from. And she puts it to her stomach, like she's gonna like kill her baby, like, if you don't leave me alone. So then, like I said, like a Mortal Kombat X-ray, you see the inside of her stomach, and the baby's like, ah, ah, and she was poking her stomach with the thing. CB grabs a toaster by the fucking extension cord, and she smacks Sarah in the head with it. So then Sarah's on the ground, bleeding, dying, and CB pulls out another cigarette, and she goes to light it, and Sarah grabs this spray, and she sprays it right at the moment she lit the lighter, and her face just gets lit up like a Pepsi commercial. Her face hair gets lit up. Her face is all fucked up, and she runs off screaming. So then Sarah, I guess she's choking on her own blood. She grabs the same spike, and she does a ghetto tracheotomy. She pokes a hole. There's a hole in her throat, and now she's bleeding, and now she can finally breathe. Then she makes a homemade spear. She puts like a knife at the end of some long shaft, and she's walking around the house looking for CB. And she finds CB in this room. She's actually taking pictures with her camera, like to light up the house, the flash to see, and we see CB huddling in a corner. And this bitch face, she looks like a German Shepherd. Half her face got burnt off, and it's all black and crispy, crackly, and she's just like, she's fucked up, and she's like, Sarah, you can't kill me again. And Sarah's like what? And then we see a flashback. The car accident that happened between Sarah, her husband, the other person in the car accident was CB. She was holding her stomach driving and saying like, no one can hurt you, no one can take you from me. And this was the part that was crazy because two women behind the wheel is just a recipe for disaster, and they crashed into each other. Anyway, so that flashback happened, and so the power goes back on, and the officer that got hit with the concussion shotgun, he turns around and his eyes are bleeding, his ears are bleeding, and I think he thinks that Sarah is CB. So he hits her in the stomach with a baton, and she just starts like, you see blood like drop like out of her ass from her dress, and he goes to like hit her again, and CB stabs the officer in the armpit with Johnny Sins, that long shaft with the knife at the end of it. And she pulls it out and she stabs him in the stomach, and he's dead. He's donezo. So then Sarah is running upstairs, and CB grabs her, flips her over, and then Sarah is like, the baby's coming. Like, this is it. Like, the baby's coming. And so CB is like touching on her. So CB cuts her skirt or shirt with the scissors, and then this is crazy, she cuts into Sarah's stomach like that, and then we see like a pool of blood form at the bottom of the pool, at the bottom of the floor, and then it fades to black. And then the end of the movie, we see CB coming down the stairs holding what it looks like to be a baby. You don't hear any crying, which makes me think maybe the baby died, but I think you might hear some whimpering. So she's walking, and she sits down on a chair, and her face, she looks like Two-Face from Batman, like Harvey Dent's, like she's all fucked up. And then the camera pans up the stairs, you see the blood, you see feet, you see the skirt, you see the shirt, and Sarah's dead. Like, Sarah is gone, and her stomach was cut open, all her guts was out, and then we see CB holding the baby, and the movie ends. And what a fucking movie. What a ride. What a roller coaster. This movie was so good. The acting was hella good. The violence, the gore, blood. I'm a sucker for blood and gore. I love violent movies. This movie checks all the boxes as far as story, acting, everything. Everything about this movie is really good. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10 if I did ratings like that, but I don't. So I'm just going to tell you to check it out. It's on Tubi. So I love this movie, and I think everybody should check it out. Horror fan or not, this movie is really good. But that's the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever the fuck's 510 Peacemaker. I think my next movie, I'll probably do High Tension, another French movie, another fucking good ass movie. I love this movie. I'll probably do that next, but thank you guys for checking this out. If you check it out, I hope you guys like the review. I hope you guys check out the movie. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.